Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Pod. I'm Andy Ryan. Big Jim and Goodey are with me as usual. We'll be looking back at all the Premiership action and how Wales and Scotland started their autumn series. Plus, we'll be looking ahead to England returning to action this weekend, and we'll be joined by Sale, England and British and Irish Lions back row Tom Curry. So settle back, enjoy, and make sure you've subscribed on Spotify. How's your week, guys?
You're back, Andrew?
Yes, I am back in the mighty England. It's a lot colder here, let me tell you. And I've had a tough weekend. I ain't gonna lie. We flew back. We flew back, and I say a tough weekend. It was an enjoyable weekend, but it was very chocolate, sweets, cake, trick or treating. Normal. Yeah, for me it was normal. But I mean, tell the arse that this morning on the bog. But yeah, I mean, we had the we had the twins' 4th birthday party yesterday.
Thank God, didn't we know about it? Did we not know about it on social? You've got to put your best life out there. Happy birthday. Sorry, I meant to say happy birthday.
There you go. And we enjoyed, they were obsessed with the video. So Jim sent me a video to the millions of listeners. You were dressed up as Spider-Man, weren't you, for Halloween again?
No, not for Halloween. That was just, Beck asked me to dress up like that on Saturday. So I sent you the birthday message just before.
Nice. So that's back on, is it now? Bit of role playing with the missus.
Well, you can call it role playing. I'll just call it messing around.
So yeah, the twins. So Jim, for the millions of listeners, Jim sent me a video to the twins dressed as Spider-Man. Yeah, the twins are obsessed with it. They got bikes for their birthday with helmets, and I always say Jim is a helmet, and I've got them to say that on a video which we sent to you, James. So yeah, they had a lovely day. Family was there. The cake was just ridiculous. I'm feeling a bit bloated today because of that. There's nothing better than party food and kids' sweets and Halloween and cakes and all that stuff. So I might have to get back on the bike this week. But it's good to be back, although it's about 20 degrees colder than we were, actually 30 degrees colder than we were out in Dubai.
I love how Goodey has not mentioned the clocks going back because it doesn't affect him at all. You know what I mean? The nannies are in there, the cleaners are in there first up, Pablo's in there.
Pablo's back, mate.
Whipping up the pancakes, and syrup and hazelnuts that are roasted on syrup and honey. And there's me, 4:30 in the morning. The eyeballs are literally in the back of my head. I can barely see. Beck can barely see. We're like, it's dark outside. Who in their right mind said, I tell you what, let's put the clocks back. Let's just do that. In the winter, where it's cold and it's miserable, and Christmas is a long way away. But yeah, that's what they've done. So I'm tired. There's not a lot else happened in my life, Andy Rowe. Thanks for asking how my week was. And it's the calm before the storm, as we know. I'm building nicely to Wednesday when we're heading to Cardiff off the back of, let's just pretend Wales won and didn't get an arm put on them. And I've got a busy few weeks. So when we go to Cardiff, we need to drink responsibly. I'm putting a cap on, 15, 20, I said to the missus. Because I've got a busy few weekends coming up. I'm doing the big ones. I'm doing the Italian games for Amazon, the All Blacks match at the weekend, then the 2 big ones, Argentina and then Uruguay. So I need to be fully loaded for the pronunciations that are coming my way. So just 15, 20, we'll cap it on Wednesday night in Cardiff. But that is the calm before the storm. So basically, I didn't do anything with the weekend is what I'm trying to say, apart from get up early.
It's an extra hour in bed though, Jim. The clocks go back, you get an extra hour.
No, you get an extra hour if the kids sleep an hour, but R5 is actually R4. Or R6 is actually R5. So we were R4/R5. Either way, it was dark, and it got to 8 o'clock last night, and I'm absolutely ball bagged.
What about you, Goodey? Are you looking forward to Wednesday in Cardiff as well?
Yeah, can't wait actually. It's the last time, one of our very last shows was there, wasn't it? Down at the depot. So yeah, looking forward to a few Guinness and Black staying over. So I hope.
How do you say it? Do you call it the depot?
With the depot, what is it?
Depot?
Well, it's the depot if you're a millionaire like yourself. Everyone else, it's a depot.
Okay, we're going to the depot in Cardiff and we're going to have some Guinness and Black and we're going to have a lot of fun. Staying over there, Mrs. is like, when you're back? You driving? I'm like, driving? What are you on about? I'll be back probably Thursday, maybe even Friday if it's a good night. So, yeah, looking forward to it. But I've got to apologise to you, Jim, because I was asked to do the Italy games as well. It'd been good fun going out to Italy with you. For Amazon Prime, but I'm working at Twickenham, so yeah, I'm a bit annoyed now because I'd like to go to Rome to commentate with James Hamilton. How much fun would we have behind the mic together?
It would be good. We go to Rome together. Talking about fun, I just want to get a gauge of what Wednesday is going to be like. Are you bringing the vape? Yes or no?
Yeah, all right. Yes, it's in. It's in.
You are? Okay. Are the Marlboros coming, yes or no? Or the Camels?
No, just the vape. Just the vape this time.
Okay, so 15 then. That's what I'm thinking. It's capped at 15, Beck.
We've already sold a boatload of tickets, but there are still a couple left. So go to eventbrite.co.uk and search for the Rugby Pod, and there's a free pint of course for everyone who makes it as well. Well, shall we have a look at the Autumn Internationals then? Scotland, Jim. Great start against Tonga, didn't they?
Oh, I wish my match point predictor, I should have went bigger. But it stopped raining. I went based on the rain. And then I looked into the Tonga team and the fact that they'd only been together for 4 days. And obviously Tutai Kefu as well was back in Australia for obvious reasons. And I didn't have the heart. I didn't want to change my prediction with the match point predictor because millions of listeners have really been influenced by me on the Tuesday. But how do I say this with all due respect? It was like a team run.
Skid marks.
Yeah, skid marks. I don't know whether that is even respect. A skid mark team run is all I'm saying. And I feel really bad saying that because I wanted it to be more of a contest against Tonga. And there's probably a separate narrative that we can talk around. Is it fair for Tonga to have a 4-day training week with no players? No, it's not. But if we're talking frankly about the game, Scotland played well. It was a walk in the park. There was areas of the game where they need to work on, which is always the thing with Scotland, is around their physicality and some of their collisions. You know, there was a load of new caps, which was positive to see. But I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest, with the match, just because it was that comfortable. You know, how does any team take anything out of that apart from some finances, which is probably very important for the Tonga team? So fans back at BT Murrayfield, which was great to see.
How many fans were there though? Because it looked empty.
Yeah, it's 35,000.
Was it?
Yeah, so not really. You know, I think for a test match that it should have been a sellout. The games against Tonga notoriously have been in Aberdeen football stadiums when we were up there before. Look, it's good that Tonga got a run out. They've obviously got a game against England. They're going to be better for it. So in that sense, they're going to play against a probably fully loaded England side. The Scotland team wasn't fully loaded. Some standout. Carl Steyn got 4 tries. First Scotland player to do that in Edinburgh at Murrayfield. Gavin Hastings got that before. So to be, you know, in the same kind of realm as him in terms of scoring 4 tries is huge. Rufus McLean, who's been carving it for Glasgow, would look sensational. But I say, look, I feel harsh because he looked sensational in open space with no defence. So, you know, I don't think we want to give too much to that game. The big test is going to be against Australia on Sunday, as we know, for Scotland, and hoping that we see a better version of Tonga, which I'm sure we will against England. We've obviously got Finn Russell to come back in, who is the standout with Stuart Hogg, who's captain. Stuart Hogg was doing the TV, couldn't play, played for Exeter on Friday against Gloucester. You've obviously got Sam Skinner coming back into that mix. Got Grant Gilchrist coming back into that mix. You know, the positive we're seeing. Swinno, yeah, he's not in the squad, unfortunately for him. He should be in the squad. I don't know whether he said he shouldn't be in the squad, but he should be in the squad in terms of you look at the players in that Scotland squad. But the eye is on the World Cup. The big thing will be around the centre partnerships. Sam Johnson has been phenomenal for Glasgow. He was brilliant again at the weekend. Sione Tuipulotu as well. The Scottish born, just north of the Hebrides he's from, apparently. He could play at 13 as
Chris
well.
Harris is back.
I was going to say, but Chris Harris will probably start because he's a British and Irish Lion, deserves his chance. Darcy Graham on one wing, Duhan van der Merwe on the other wing. So in answer to your question, Andy Rowe, I imagine the Scotland squad will look very different. And the pressure's going to be on against Australia because there's an expectation now from this Scotland team, having basically won the Six Nations, you know, the big win against England, the big win against France. Australia are a team notoriously that we do really well against. It's a high-scoring game. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this Scotland team are going to do now. John Barclay mentioned it on Amazon Prime in commentary. This is a once-in-a-generation team. What he means by that is we've been shit in years gone by, and now we've got players that are absolute quality. And you know what? That's probably a really good analogy for the Scotland team. This is once in a generation in terms of the strength and depth and the star quality that we've got. The Scotland team have got to put it all together now. And again, we'll talk about the Wales and the New Zealand game. We're talking about teams, yes, they're well-travelled to get over here, but they're off the back of 2 months of playing some of the hardest rugby. You know, this Scotland team now have got to try and put together a training week with the English-based and the French-based players back together to try and beat one of the best teams, which is great to say, in Australia.
I just want to peel back to when you were talking about the value of the game for a country like Tonga playing outside the international test window. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Now, I did a column for Rugby Pass on it this week where you sit there and you say, we spoke to Sir Bill Beaumont, at the start of the pandemic, and we spoke to Augustin Pichot when the whole battle was going on around who's going to be named chairman of World Rugby with the elections and all stuff like that. And there was a big time when we all said, this is the opportunity for change. It's an opportunity to get the global calendar sorted, to align everything as much as we can. And to me, nothing's happened. What's the point of having an international window if countries are just going to play games outside of the international window? Now, every country, I say every country, a lot of countries are doing it. So England have done it before. Obviously, Wales do it regularly. And there's always this issue around, where do players play? Look at Scotland. And Jim's just reeled off a few names there that couldn't play for Scotland this weekend against Tonga. And the Tongans, bless them, they've put a scratch team together. I know there's issues around COVID and travel and all this, but they haven't had their best opportunity to play against a tier 1 nation at Murrayfield with their best team, where they can really, make a standpoint around where they're at in terms of the game. So they've picked a lot of guys that, some of them aren't even full-time professional rugby players, and it's really tough on them. But World Rugby, what are you doing? Because there's an international window. What's the point of having an international window if you're going to let international teams play outside of the international window? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So when we're trying to align, and I get the whole thing around COVID, and look at Wales. Apparently they made £4 million from the game at the weekend, 2 million to the All Blacks, and everyone's looking at it going, "Oh, it was great to see the Principality packed." Well, it was Wales missing probably 5 of their best players, and it was All Blacks full noise, absolutely dominant, and it leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth because World Rugby, and fair play to them, and I'll come on to it later, that they've kiboshed this World 12s competition, so they're not going to sanction that. But what they're doing, and you talk about player welfare, they're just trying to squeeze as much into this calendar as possible where people can make money. And I get we've got to make money, but if you've got an international window, World Rugby should be strong enough to say you only play internationals in that international window, or extend the international window, and clubs have to move their season around. But we sat here 18 months later into a pandemic, and to me, nothing's happened. I haven't seen any progress on a global calendar. I haven't seen any progress on, aligning the world game. Yet we're still having these conversations.
Oh, we've got gum shields on the way, though, Andrew.
Gum shields are coming, yeah.
My God, this is what I don't want to get too deep on it. I was having a chat at JJ's Rugby with some of the dads there. There's some big issues in rugby that need tackling. See what I've done there?
Yes.
But there really is. There really is. Like, we've got a platform to talk about it, and I think at some point we probably need to go deeper on it. Fair play to Tonga. They fronted up.
Yeah.
Them games could be unsafe. You've got semi-professional rugby players playing against professional rugby players. Andrew might argue that professional Scotland rugby players would be very different to an All Blacks team.
No.
That put on 100-odd points against the USA. Who's going to pull their finger out and be like, you know what? I'm going to put my head above the parapet and be like, put my name to this. This is what's happening. Games cannot be played outside of the international window. There's too many games of rugby. We need to condense that, and we're going to globalise the season. Done. It can't be that difficult. Someone just needs to make a decision, for God's sake.
Jim Hamilton for leader. Jim Hamilton for leader.
You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I will lead rugby out of this parapet, or whatever it's called. Fire pit.
And it doesn't get any easier for Tonga this weekend. What are you expecting from England in that game, Goodey?
Yeah, I'm quite excited to see, firstly, what Team Eddie picks. We're basically, hopefully, fingers crossed, looking at Marcus Smith at 10 and at Owen Farrell at 12. And I think kind of Eddie Jones implied that would be the way they start off. But he's also mentioning people like Freddie Stewart and Adam Radwan in snippets as well. So, we're looking for a seismic shift in how we attack. We spoke about it. Compared to the Six Nations last year, where we were still playing. You go back to that Scotland game that Jim thinks Scotland won the Six Nations because they beat England at Twickenham. We just kicked the leather off it when there were overlaps. Now it seems to be this decent mindset shift in the England camp around attacking players, around Premiership form, around exciting youngsters with speed and pace and everything that you want and energy to take England's attacking game to the next level. Now, we don't want to lose some of the good parts of what England are good at. Set piece dominance is something that has been a staple of English rugby for a long time. You've got to have a solid kicking game, but also you add in the intricacies of a better attacking game. And Keith Gleason's going to have a lot to do with that as the attack coach now. Having the likes of Marcus Smith, perhaps having Rafi Quirk on the bench to come on for Ben Youngs, seeing a reinvigorated Ben Youngs, playing some front foot rugby. And I feel for Tonga, I really do, because if Scotland can put 60 on them with a half-baked team, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Scotland, because they were missing the likes of Hogg, Finn Russell, Hastings, Harris, Van der Merwe, a lot of big stars, Rory Sutherland. They were missing countless players. Scotland put 60 on Tonga. England could put 100 on Tonga this week.
That's so arrogant. Andrew, you finished bottom of the Six Nations. Like, how are you thinking that? You're effectively, at the minute, as it stands, a Tier 2 nation. I'm just going on the facts of history.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, James. But yeah, I mean, I'm genuinely excited to see what Eddie Jones is going to do. We've gone through a bit of doom and gloom where he wouldn't pick players that are in form in the Premiership, and he'd just go back to what he knows and what got him to the World Cup final in 2019. But the game's changed. The game's moved on. And we're now seeing, hopefully, the fruits of some quality Premiership operators playing at a pace and at an intensity that, some players like myself could only dream of.
Speaking of England, we can have a chat now with Sale, England and British and Irish Lions back row, Tom Curry, who joins us from camp now. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. And you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Tom. How is it today, mate? You must be peacocking around camp after Eddie Jones said you're the Richie McCaw of England.
No, not at all. I think that's the beauty of camp, is we can get stuck into it. Carl Sinclair's had me in the saunas, and we've been gymming hard, and I think that's the beauty of camp, really, is you get into the meat of the work straight away.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love the straight back here, but I need to know, what did Genji say in the sauna? Because Genji is some character, and he's bound to. Did you give Eddie Jones an apple for breakfast this morning? Did you take that down to him?
I'm going to be honest. I genuinely haven't seen it. I know someone came up to me and I was like, "What are you on about?" But yeah, you can probably imagine what Genji thinks of talking about in a sauna.
Good stuff. How's the week been then? Obviously over in Jersey, something different for you guys. It's been tough. I'm sure over the last 18 months with all the bubbles you've had to live by, but Jersey seemed like a bit of fun. You're out there swimming 700 metres out into the sea. I mean, how cold was that, and how shriveled up was everyone when they got back in?
Some were colder and more shriveled up after being out there for an hour and a half rather than half an hour. We had the anchor, Carl Sinclair, holding us down. But no, it was brilliant. I think, Jersey's a place obviously very quiet, but kind of what we did, the beach activities, to be fair, it was just beach. All the activities were on the beach. And then the training went really well. And I think the whole transfer and the feel of the camp was really exciting. I think the mood and the blend of players was brilliant. So, it was a really good confidence boost going into this week.
And how is it, Tom, being back in camp off the back of British and Irish Lions tour, the COVID bubble, a tough Six Nations? I think everyone said that who's been involved in the England camp. It almost feels like it's a fresh start for this England team, new players in the mix. But what's it like being back in?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, usually between camps, it is a fresh start because there's bits and bobs, but it actually does feel like a proper fresh start. Whether that's new players coming in or we're allowed out a little bit more. It genuinely does feel like that. So that I think that's it's a really exciting part to look forward to for this camp. We can properly get to know each other, sort of thing, and then we can attack the rugby as well. Lots to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Eddie Jones is someone that's talked you up on TV, but a mate of mine, Mark Cueto, has talked you down for your bench press technique that they put out there the other day. He's just calling you half reps or something. I just can't believe the audacity of Mark Cueto, who never did a gym session in his life, really. You taking that to heart or not?
Not at all. You've seen the shape of him at the minute.
I have, yeah.
True.
Worse than me.
To be fair, I was looking at that back and I was like, it's quite suspect. I'm not taking it from him, maybe someone else.
And that seems to be a bit of the theme at the minute. There seems to be this fresh start. You're seeing a lot of clips come out on social media, and the lads seem to be enjoying it. The build up to the World Cup in 2 years starts now, and Eddie Jones has made that pretty clear. Has there been a seismic shift in the mentality of how the team are going to play as well? Because ultimately, with some of the characters in the squad, he's talked about your ball carrying, he's talked about the pace and exciting young players that are coming in. Is there going to be a shift in terms of attacking mentality?
Yes, I think ultimately, to play your best, you've got to be yourself, don't you? That starts obviously on an individual basis, but also on an England basis. Like, what are England really good at? And like keeping hold of that, because that is who you are, sort of thing. And then we can start to add things, whether it's moving it forward in terms of attack. And yeah, to answer your question simply, it's going to move forward. The way we're going to play is going to move forward and shift, whether that's but that's just how the game's going at the minute, isn't it? Everything starts to change, and it probably will in a year, so we'll probably have to move forward again. Ideally I'm going to say yeah, but it's a team sport, so we'll have to find out. But one thing I know is we're going to attack it and properly train it this week. Yeah,
and you're looking at the young squad now. There's a lot of players just coming in who had their first taste of it over the summer. I rewind at the start of your career for England, 2017, British and Irish Lions tour to New Zealand, but you played for England against the Barbarians, didn't you, and got man of the match. Do you remember who gave you man of the match that day and set you on this pathway to greatness?
Was it you?
It was, yeah.
Wasn't too obvious.
It was, but it's been remarkable. You're looking at some of these young kids in the squad now coming in for their kind of first real forays into the England squad. Someone like Callum Chick, who's battling for number 8, as well as Don Brandt and Simmons. There's a lot of exciting youngsters as well that you're helping along the way 4 years down the line in your career.
I guess when you say it like that, it does feel quite like special to be on that sort of journey and trajectory, but it shows the strength of English rugby at the minute. You've got 3 unbelievable players in the same position, and it's brilliant for the not just to see from like a back row perspective, but also as a team, like being able to push training and make it super competitive, I think is only a positive. But yeah, that's the aim of it, isn't it? To get people in who aren't just coming in for 1 camp or 2 camps, but 10, 15 camps and getting 50 caps sort of thing. But to do that, we need to make sure we're pushing each other and being super competitive along the way with it.
Tom, you mentioned before the goals of the England team and how you guys want to play and the style that you want to play. As far as you go, what are your individual goals, and like where do you see your game evolving, and do you have any weaknesses that are we might not see that you're working on in the background?
No, for the short term, it's probably attacking and getting involved in link play more, and that's probably coming like anticipating the game a bit more, and you get that from experiencing it, working it in training, watching games and understanding angles. I think Messi's a good one to look at in terms of football and the way how efficient he is and how he gets involved in games. And it's not necessarily through running the furthest, it's being smart about it. And obviously I'm not saying I want to work less, I want to work hard, but you get more change out of what you're doing, sort of thing. So in attack, that's probably a good way to go about it, is being efficient and getting involved more, and then you'll get the link plays, then you'll get everything that comes with that.
Good stuff. Just tell us what success looks like for England over these next 3 games. It's obviously a first step for this new squad. You're comparing yourself to Lionel Messi, which I love. I won't let Genji see that one either.
No way.
What does success look like for you boys over the next 3 weeks?
Winning, I think first and foremost, that's why you play the game, isn't it? But then if you don't get that, it's not like you lose everything, is it? So obviously 3-0, that the best of the best is success, but then you draw it back and boil it down, and what probably leads to winning 3-0, well, it's probably coming together closer off the pitch, bringing the new lads in, then probably getting a better understanding of what it takes to play international rugby. That doesn't necessarily mean get it right or wrong. Just means a better understanding that they're learning, and I think that's the main thing, is that we learn and we take a step forward than when we started this camp. And I think if we do all those things, then that will lead to the outcome.
Right, Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show, mate. Really appreciate it, and best of luck this weekend and for the rest of the autumn.
Cheers, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Tom.
Thanks, mate, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Let's chat about Wales now then. They were missing a few men, but what did you make of their defeat to the All Blacks, Goodey?
It's a tough one, isn't it? They were missing a fair few players. Actually, things in the game transpired against them a little bit. Ross Moriarty goes off injured. Alan Jones goes off injured. They're up against the All Blacks, who are probably still reeling a bit from losing to South Africa a few weeks ago. So they've probably redoubled their efforts in everything they do, which is top tier stuff anyway. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because there was a lot of passion inside the stadium. The noise at the start was amazing, but I think the writing was on the wall when poor Gareth Anscombe in his first real touch throws an intercept to Beauden Barrett, and he goes under the sticks. And it's just I felt for Anscombe a bit, because your first game back at international rugby after battling so hard from a horrific knee injury that just got worse over time, and 2 years out. So then to be chucked in against the All Blacks, which no player would want to turn down, don't get me wrong.
He shouldn't have played though, Goodey, should he?
I don't know. I mean, the romantic in me was happy to see him back in a Welsh shirt playing against the country of his birth. But you tell me, so you put yourself in that position. If someone said to me, you're Gareth Anscombe, you've been through everything, you get a chance to play against the All Blacks, you haven't played rugby pretty much for 2 years, you played a few games leading up to it, but that's what you live for, isn't it? Whether you've obviously come through games of rugby, but that's another step up. And maybe they should have started Priestland and brought Anscombe off the bench. It was tough for Wales. Listen, everything we just spoke about around World Rugby and the international window, it was a hide into nothing really for me. And I think the difficult thing is not only were the players that were missing Bigger as well at 10, and a couple of others, Reece Zammit, would have added value, but they had a load of injuries as well. So there's no Navidi, there's no Liam Williams. You start looking at the real top tier players that they've got. George North out injured. The success they had in the Six Nations last year, you've ripped a lot of that team out purely because of injuries and unavailability. So it was a tough day at the office. I thought Wainwright in the back row was phenomenal at times. He seems like he's got absolutely everything as a player. But they're up against it. And Alan Jones, his 149th cap, taking him one past Sir Richie McCaw, as the most capped international for a country ever, and then you see him walk off with his shoulder again. And Jim, I know that you had some shoulder issues in your career. It just things transpired that went against them, and then the All Blacks, the way they played was just phenomenal. They ripped teams to pieces. Their attacking game, when you bring in Sevu Reece on and he's just having fun out there, and the offloading game's just phenomenal. Every player can seem to do everything. They can run hard, they've got footwork, they've got offloading game. The way Ardy Severe played, and they picked and went explosively around the breakdown. It was a lesson, wasn't it? And all my skid marks in Wales, it could have been a lot worse, but actually, there were some reasonable things for them to hang their hat on going into what is a very tough autumn series for Wales.
Well, Beauden Barrett was pretty impressive on the occasion of his 100th cap, but someone else arguably stole the show before the game even kicked off, and we can have a chat with him now. Jarvo69 joins us. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, man. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Jarvo. You've made it now. You're on the Rugby Pod. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's it. I can retire now.
You can. Just talk to us. Back in the office today, was it?
Doesn't look like prison to me.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm wondering which ones. No, I didn't even get arrested for it. They just kicked me out.
Jarvo, what is the sketch then? What's the plan? What next, I suppose? But I suppose you don't want to give that away, do you? Because, we'll probably get 1,000 policemen listening to this as well.
Yeah, big up the police force for letting me go. The bribing's working. No, I'm joking. No, I can't really say what's next because, yeah, it's big though. It's big.
Nice.
I've just started my career off, so it's all right.
And let's talk about that, because obviously we've seen, the cricket one was hilarious. You're going out with the bat and the pads, and the pads weren't on properly. At the weekend you've gone on with the full All Blacks jersey on, the full kit. The only thing that probably let you down was the mask.
And the belly.
This is the second time it's happening now. Both times it's like, this is what happened. When I got there, there weren't no stewards at the bottom of the steps to jump on. And then all the stewards come. And I was like, no, but then one moved. So I had to quickly take my jacket off and walk down and jump over quickly. And I forgot about the mask. So I think I gave it away. But I think if I'd have got on there without the mask, I think I'd have been on there a lot longer.
Jarvo, from me, what does the 69 stand for? Is that your favourite number or what?
Yeah, it's my favourite. I think it's everyone's favourite number. It's a good, great number.
Jarvo, can you just talk me through like why you do it? Because obviously you cop a bit of hate on social media about being annoying and stuff. I mean, personally, I'm loving it, but why do you do it?
I love making people laugh. I love that sort of shock factor. I even do like the hate as well because it's funny. I find it funny. It motivates me to do it more.
How much is all this costing you?
It costs a little bit. I think maybe the kits cost more than the actual ticket.
The All Blacks kit's expensive as well. I tell you now, they fucking charge a bomb for that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, wow. When they go up each, I'm like, I can't go up even more. But
how much are they stinging you each time you go out there?
I've never been fined for one of them.
Really?
Yeah, nothing.
All right, Jarvo. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We're obviously very excited to see what you do next, and best of luck with it.
Yeah, message me in a few weeks, and I'll be back on again.
Nice. It's happening. Cheers, Jarvo69. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man. Take care.
Cheers, pal. Good lad.
Weird lad. Sorry, good lad. Good lad. Yeah. Weird lad.
I mean, imagine.
My goodness, mate.
Imagine planning that. You thinking, I'm just fair play. It's attention, obviously, isn't it? And it's pranks and it's making people laugh. But you got to have some cojones to do some of the stuff he's done. I watched the diving one. Go onto YouTube, have a look at him doing the diving one. He's jumped over something. He's trying to run up the stairs, take all his clothes off. He's nearly fallen over. Yeah, the hacker. He'd have probably got filled in by some of the All Blacks had he tried to do that.
I reckon so. Yeah, I
wouldn't have started it with a player.
No, of course not. I don't know whether I'm watching it and there's like the kid in me, and this kid in me used to be in the Rooftowne Clan, remember, in Coventry back in the day, and that kid in me actually quite enjoys it. But there'll be a part of me in terms of being as hype in the media as we are and influencers that it's like, should he be doing it? Yeah, go on. Go on, he should. I'll be honest, if we're speaking frankly, if he's going to do that, you're going to stand with the All Blacks. If you're with the Romanian team, you might get away with it. Mate, you're probably going to need to bring the body fat down by about 33% in order to stand there in all blaze of glory with the All Blacks. But, mate, nonetheless, it's give us a chuckle this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, the mask gave it away. And there's one where he's done the cricket one, and as the stewards are trying to get him off, his belly's popped out as well. So, that's the thing I'd worry about. You see belly falling out or your pants falling down or something. So, fair play to him. He's making people smile. Well,
we should probably get your match point predictions then ahead of this weekend's games. Don't forget, just download the app and join our league to win 3 pints with the code Rugby Pod. It's not too late, and 6 games means 6 pints of Guinness to win. Do you know how you got on in the first couple of games?
Yeah, James, I believe you're ahead of me, James.
Oh, am I? Yeah, no, I've not looked at it, but I'm sure I'm 63rd or something like that. But I've not looked. Just hit me. Where am I?
Jim, you are actually 63rd. Well done.
Thank you. 63 caps for Scotland as well, for reference. Not
that
matters, but yeah, it's a lucky number for me.
And 3 victories.
Well, it wasn't. It was about 18, but anyway, we rounded down.
All right, let's have a look at these games then. Ireland, Japan. Who's winning and by how much? Who wants to go first?
Hardest one to call. Andrew, I'll let you go first.
Johnny Sexton's 100th cap, probably. I'm going to go Ireland by 15. Why have I said that? Ireland by 15. Yeah, I'm confident. Go on, the Irish.
Oh, I reckon it'll be closer, but I'm going to go Ireland by 9.
Italy, New Zealand.
Oh, it's going to be close. I'm there in Rome. Oh, New Zealand. New Zealand have a few changes, I imagine. New Zealand by 60.
Oh, I was going to say 60 as well. I'll go a bit more then. New Zealand by 65. Poor Italy.
Wales, South Africa.
Tough one to call. I reckon you're going to see a huge improvement from Wales. They're going to get couple of boys back from the Premiership and various different. I'm going to go South Africa by 10.
Oh, I was going to go South Africa by 9, so I'll stick to my guns.
There you go.
France, Argentina.
Excited by what France can do. Argentina normally rock up against France as well because there's a lot of players playing in France, or they used to be. I'm going to go France by 13.
Oh, yes, France by 12, I was going to say, Jim.
All right, well, just say 12 then.
Great minds. I'm going to say 12. France by 12.
And Scotland, Australia.
I think we're going to differ here. because if Jim's patriotic, he'll back his own team. But I'm not going to back his own team. I'm going to back the Aussies. I'm going to say Australia, even though they're missing Quade Cooper and Samuel Crowley. Australia by 8.
I genuinely think Scotland will win this game. I'm going Scotland by 6.
Oh, you might convince me then, Jim. You might have convinced me.
Which bit?
That Scotland might win.
Yeah, but how? How have I convinced you?
Just by saying those words that I generally
The toad.
Yeah. The toenail.
And England Tonga.
England by 70. England by 70. What? I mean, poor
70.
Tonga. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go 60. Just trying to be nicer, unfortunately.
All right, then let's round up the Premiership action now. Leicester scored more points than they ever have before in the derby against Northampton. What happened at Franklin Gardens?
I mean, I should normally stick to what I know best, which is around the driving line out, tackle, jackling, kick chase, and carrying. But actually, I need to go further afield from that. George Ford, my goodness me, and Nemani Nandolo, just to pick 2 out of that back line, absolutely phenomenal. Leicester, wow. They look unbelievable at the minute. Andrew, I'll just leave it there because I could talk about, the collisions and the steps before collisions and winning that fight through. But how good is George Ford at the minute?
Yeah, he was phenomenal. Not only at 10, but also when Richard Wigglesworth got sin bin, so he steps up to 9. Some of those box kicks. Now, anyone looking at box kicking thinking it's an easy skill, scrum halves take hours, spend hours and hours honing those skills. Everyone just thinks they can step up and slot a box kick, no problem. I've tried it. It comes off my shin. But George Ford, his all-round game management, the drop goal, just understanding when Leicester were down to 13 players with Wigglesworth and Jesper Wiese in the sin bin. His game control, his game management, his kicking, everything was outstanding. Distribution. But, the forward pack generated a lot of go forward. The physicality, Montoya in the front row was phenomenal. Jesper Wiese going around banging boys legally and illegally. He's got to be careful, actually.
Yes, and offloading as well.
Yeah.
I know we spoke about it last week. Ridiculous offload in the Sale match.
Yeah.
But, again, his hands, unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's away with South Africa now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. And Van Staden as well. So, it's a complete performance by Leicester. They've, like Jim said, you need to improve yourself, get a few Saffers in there, and they make all the difference. Van Staden was good. And then Nandolo on the wing. Good luck to anyone stopping him. Dan Bigger chased back as hard as he could and thought, will I make it? I'm giving up at that point. If you're seeing Nandolo sprinting down the wing, and I say sprinting, he had a fridge on his back as well. Dan Bigger's done everything he can to try and get back there, and then Nandolo slips over and still gets the ball down.
Sale went down 27-14 at Worcester. Jim, Alex Anderson well. How will he be coping with this, mate?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be overly happy, to be honest. You've got to credit Worcester. It would be easy for them just to throw the towel in if it was Worcester of old. But obviously, Jonathan Thomas, you've spoken about him, Goodey, haven't you, in terms of what a proud man he is. And fair play to Worcester, because Sale are a difficult team to play against with the physicality that they've got. The fact that Sale aren't doing well this year either, which is a surprise. I had them down in the top 4. They're 10th at the minute. Worcester 11th. There's a point between them. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sat here talking about Worcester, and if they make the top 6, Goodey said top 8. I'm sure I said top 4. I'll eat my Timberland boots, but it's a massive win against Sale.
It's huge. And, just to pull out a couple of players, Jamie Shilcock at fullback was absolutely class. Scored a couple, set one up for Van der Merwe as well. Van der Merwe, big, scored a couple. He'll be back in Scotland. He'll be back in a Scotland jersey next week. But it's a massive turnaround for Worcester. You imagine you get 48 points put on you at home by Leicester, and then you go to Saints and get 60 odd put on you. Like, you're down in the doldrums. So to come away and play the rugby that they played, there's a bit of width to the game, bit of shape. Ollie Lawrence made a difference in the centres as well. Really pleased for Worcester to get that victory.
And Exeter were lucky to grind it out at Kingsholm on Friday night, weren't they?
Oh, I watched that game closely because of the Gloucester relationship that I have. Basically, my best mate Ravo's arms there. Thought Gloucester looked good for large parts of it. The weird thing about Exeter, it's twofold, because I know I made a statement saying they wouldn't be in the top 4. I didn't think they'd be in the top 4. They might struggle around the new laws, interpretations around the pick and go. They're actually really good around the pick and go. Of course they are. Where they look poor, Exeter this season, And Andrew, I don't know, again, being a fly half, believe it or not, back in your time around controlling a game, is they look a little bit lost at times, which is not really like Exeter. I thought Gloucester played better, I'll be honest. I know Rob Baxter was, after the game, said that if they would have lost that game, he would have been happy because of the way that Exeter stuck in there. And maybe that comment is actually where Exeter are. You'd expect Exeter to win that game. Like, as in, you'd say going to that game, Exeter are going to win this game. But I'm just really impressed with Gloucester, how dogged they are throughout. We mentioned the week before around their driving line-out, scored one off the back of that again. Yeah, there are a few issues around 9 and 10 with Ben Meehan and Adam Hastings in terms of kick, run. Hastings wants to run all the time. Ben Meehan wants to kick. So once they sort that out, I think that they'll be competing very well this season in Gloucester. And I put a tweet out at the end around the line-out drive that Gloucester had, and Christoph Ridley ended the game. Don Allman did a fantastic job. But I just think if you're an Exeter or a Saracens or a Harlequins now, you get them calls. And not to call out the referees, and they've been called out left, right, centre this weekend. But I just felt for Gloucester on that last play of the game. You know, Exeter deserved the win. You know, were they lucky? Well, I don't really know. I don't know if they're lucky. You make your own luck, don't you? But yeah, I think it's a big win for Exeter, to be honest, with how they're playing.
Do you want to talk about the Saracens Quins game?
Yes, we do.
Jim's itching.
Yes,
Jim is itching for this, aren't you, Jim?
Just quickly.
I'm just happy. No, I'm just happy. You know, Saracens were 19 points to 9 down at half-time. Quins absolutely dominating in what is their cup final. It's their World Cup final, as we saw by the way that Danny Kerr was behaving on some of the celebrations. So in that sense, I'm happy.
How was he behaving?
What are you on about?
Well, it just was. Yeah, it's just, I don't know whether it's just I'm scarred. You know, Joe Marler's on Twitter just doing some cryptic tweets around, obviously, the referee, but it isn't obvious it's the referee, or is it?
It is, James.
You know, fair play to Quins. They looked wicked in that first half. The way that they were attacking, I thought Saracens' defence wasn't great in terms of where they've been before. Tyrone Green looked fantastic. Lewis Liner as well. Esther Hazen, how do you stop him? So you look at Quins and the backbone of that team and how well they've played, the fact that they're the champions. It was going to be a tough game for Saracens. And after the first half, I was like, this could be, if you're any other team, a hiding. Not for Sarries. You know, they just know how to win. Like, they're used to being uncomfortable and teams going and scoring tries and looking like it's all out. But you've just got quality in terms of resilience in that team. I thought Loza, who got man of the match, was brilliant at 10.
Swinno was out of this world.
I didn't really see him much, but I'm telling you now that McFarlane, who come on, the young lad wearing 19, looks the real deal. I know they were bigging him up on BT Sport, but he looks the real deal. It was a shame to see Billy go down. Without talking about the headline stuff from the game, I just thought the resilience that Saracens showed. Just when it really matters, they can turn it on. They go back to their kicking game. They chip away at the scoreboard. And that is one that got away from Quins. It really is. They'll be kicking themselves because you're going to struggle to see Saracens not play any worse than that, but be as vulnerable, I suppose, especially going in at half-time.
Right, let's finish things off with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
We'll start off with the good. And Andy Rowe, you're not going to like this one because the All Blacks may have had a fantastic victory over Wales, but I'm going to start off with England Red Roses, England women team. The Red Roses absolutely smashed the New Zealand Black Ferns, 43 points to 12 over the weekend, and made their biggest ever victory over the Black Ferns. So how do you feel about that, Andy Rowe?
Oh, it's just good to see them back out after 2 years not being on the pitch.
Oh, there's the excuse.
Excuse. Straight
Right.
Excuse, isn't it?
It was straight pants down, skids everywhere for the Black Ferns. So big shout out to England's women. The Red Roses absolutely dismantling the Black Ferns. But we'll stay with New Zealand, Andy Rowe, for you.
Thank you.
And we'll mention the All Blacks because it was a hell of a performance by them, and especially Bowden Barrett getting his 100th cap at the weekend. So an outstanding effort by him, and the All Blacks putting 50 on Wales. A pretty impressive performance by them all. We'll stay in that game, James, because while it wasn't his best performance and while he did come off injured, Alan Wynne-Jones gets a mention in the good this weekend. 149th cap for Wales, overtaking Richie McCaw, becoming the most capped Test player for a nation. A hell of an effort by him. Obviously, disappointing outcome for him in the game, and we hope he recovers to go onto the 150R. But Alaman Jones gets a good shout out for that. Yeah, and going up to Scotland, James, and via South Africa, but Carl Steyn, that good Scottish name, scoring 4 tries for the Scots. First Scottish player to do that since Gavin Hastings against the Ivory Coast. They do it against the big teams. And the first
you're going to struggle to do it against New Zealand. It wouldn't have surprised me if they did against England, but New Zealand, South Africa, yeah.
There we go. Carl Steyn, the first Scottish rugby player to score 4 tries at Murrayfield. So a shout out to him. We'll go to the Premiership now, and we'll look at our old club, James, Leicester Tigers. They march on, putting 50 points on the Saints. George Ford moving over 1,500 points in the Premiership. Still got a few to catch me up, but he's some player at the minute. George Ford playing exceptionally well. Leicester unbeaten at the top of the league, so massive shout out to those boys. We're going to give a mention to World Rugby, James.
Well, I thought you were just bagging them earlier.
Well, we did, but I'm going to mention them in the good for shutting down the World 12s.
Wow. If that is the case, here.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about play well and all that stuff. They came out and they shut down World 12, so that's not going ahead. So they get a mention in the good for that. They might get mentioned again a bit later, but not in the good. But the good this week goes to one team, James. One team, one club. An ex-club of mine, James. It's a
not
bit
breath
of
again.
No, we're not going for Breathe. We're not even going for Wasps. We're not going for Saracens. We're not going for Tigers, but we are.
What have London Irish been doing for charity? What have they been doing?
No, we can't say London Irish. We can't say Newcastle. This week, Worcester are going to get the good. They've been absolutely spanked for the last 2 weeks against Leicester and then Saints. But what a comeback performance. We bagged them previously. They bounced back this weekend to beat Sale with a bonus point. Shilcock was outstanding. Van der Merwe a couple of tries. Jonathan Thomas has got his boys fighting for him again. So when you get put in the bad, when you come back and have a great performance like they did at the weekend, Worcester, there's still the cloud over Chris Ashton and what's happening, but Worcester, you get the good this week.
Here.
The bad, few bits of bad to get through. We start off in Wales. 32nd consecutive defeat to the All Blacks and the most points they've ever conceded against New Zealand at home. So unfortunately, the Welsh get a mention the bad this week. Sale, 10th in the Premiership with 2 wins after a surprise loss at Worcester. So they get a mention the bad. But the bad this week has to go to Northampton Saints, I'm afraid. We like the coaches there. I like Chris Boyd, used to coach me at the Sharks. We like Sam Vesti, but you can't be taking 50 points at home, boys, against your nearest and dearest. Leicester came and absolutely dominated them in every facet of the game. So the Saints, unfortunately, this week, you get the bad for taking 50. 2 bits of ugly this weekend. Firstly, Mike Williams charging into a ruck from distance with a lot of power. And the knock-on effect was Jimmy Gopperth getting knocked out and spewed out the back of the ruck. Not a great look and a red card for it. But the ugly this week goes to World Rugby, James.
Talk to me. Which bets?
Well, what's happened? Not a lot, really, James. Wales might have earned £4 million and New Zealand £2 million, but the tests outside of the international window are a real mess, and World Rugby need to sort the global season out as soon as possible. What's the point of having an international window if you're allowing games to go on outside it?
Thanks, Goodey, and you've got a shout out to finish off with, don't you, Jim?
Yeah, I have. It's a big shout out to Joe Makin, who made his 300th appearance for the Hull Ionians. 2 bucks on Saturday against Bourneville in National 2 North, the big one. Joe's been at the club for 12 years, captaining the side for 7 years before moving into a player coaching role. He plays in the second row, and like me, he's absolutely shredded to the eyeballs. It says melted wheelie bin in brackets. That's a bit horrible. Anyway, 300 appearances for one club is an incredible achievement. So he's a club legend at Hull Ionians. 2 big! So a big shout out to you, Joe. Let's make that 300, 600. I doubt it, but let's just dream.
Have an effort.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Goodey. Thanks, producer Tristan, and thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube and make sure you've subscribed on Spotify as well.
Rugby Spod.
Spotify pod.